What's going on, guys? My name is Arbuckle. Welcome back to another video. Today I don't have any Call of Duty tips and tricks for you, but I want to talk about something that's really been bugging me recently that I think a lot of you guys should know about if you don't already know about. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a huge fan of Treyarch, a huge fan of David Vonderhaar. I love those guys because their games are always enjoyable, and they're very, very active in the community themselves. They don't just put their game out there and hope that people like it. They put their game out there and make sure that people like it. They like to listen to feedback, make changes in the game based on what the majority is saying, and make sure their game goes really well. And I know that they've been under a ton of fire recently because of their supply drop system. Treyarch and David Vonderhaar have been receiving all kinds of hate, all kinds of death threats, the whole 9 yards because of supply drops. Now, supply drops were very basic when the game first came out. All you could get was camos, calling cards, and the little dance moves that you do in the winner circle. There wasn't much to get from that. But recently, there have been weapons and like legitimately guns that have been put in there that you can only get by buying supply drops, and most people resort to buying COD points because crypto keys are very hard to come by, especially enough to be able to get a rare supply drop. So people are spending tons and tons of money on rare supply drops, not getting anything. It's turned into a huge gambling thing, and I'm not really sure if I like it myself. I'm personally not a big fan, but I know a lot of people are really upset because the only way to get these guns is quote-unquote to buy COD points, and people really don't want to do that. And everyone's really upset for Treyarch for that. And I want to tell you why you shouldn't be mad at Treyarch, because this is not Treyarch's doing. For those of you that don't know, supply drops weren't even in Black Ops 3 until July of 2015. Now, that might not sound that crazy, but that's only 3.5 months before the game's release. At that point in time, the game was basically done. Treyarch did not want supply drops. They didn't want to have anything to do with supply drops in their game. They weren't a fan of that, and they stated before the game even came out that they were not going to make their game a play-to-win game. They didn't want to have anything to do with that. And Activision, grandfather Activision, came by and said, look, we're a business. We're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We made a ton of money off these supply drops in Advanced Warfare. We want them back in our next Call of Duty. So basically, they forced Treyarch to put supply drops in their game. Treyarch negotiated, decided to put supply drops in. But if you guys remember, when like I said a minute ago, when supply drops first came out, all there was to get was calling cards, the dance moves, and the camos. There wasn't much that was going to help you out. Actually, none of that would help you out. That was just kind of something extra to have in your game. And Activision wasn't pleased. Activision wanted more. They said, we're not making enough money off this. People aren't spending money. Well, the COD points didn't come out until a little bit after. But once they came out with the COD points, Treyarch was upset because there wasn't much to get. You know, people aren't going to spend money for camos. They're not going to spend money for calling cards. We want guns. We want something in there that's going to make everyone want to spend money. We want something in this game that's going to make people that make fun of people that spend money to spend money on these things. And that's what they did. They forced Treyarch to start putting weapons in the game. And if you guys noticed, Treyarch did not put any guns in the game. They put in all these melee weapons that made it more difficult to get kills, like the wrench and the crowbar and things like the butterfly knife. Basic things that were going to make it more difficult to get kills than the stuff that just came with the game. And again, Activision was not pleased. They wanted guns that people were going to like. Let's throw the MP40 from World at War in there. Everybody's going to want that gun. Throw it in the rotation. Everybody's going to buy COD points. We're going to make a bunch of money. And that's basically the timeline of what's happened. Treyarch has come along and finally just given in and, okay, you know what? We'll put the guns in there. And this is not Treyarch's fault. Activision is the grandfather. They are the boss. They get the last say in what happens. And they basically forced Treyarch to do what they didn't want to do, what they said they weren't going to do. And it sucks because Treyarch really can't do anything about it because they're not in control. Now, the thing that really annoys me is that Treyarch is taking all the heat. Activision is the one that's making all this money. Treyarch is not getting the money from the COD points. For common disbelief or whatever you want to say, Treyarch is not getting the money, or not much of it. Activision is the one bringing in all the money, and it sucks because Activision's making all this bank from you guys buying COD points, and Treyarch's catching all the heat from it. So it's kind of a win-win for Activision and a lose-lose for Treyarch. They didn't want it in their game, and they're getting hate for it because people think they wanted it in their game. And I just want to make this video to show you guys that it's not Treyarch that you should be mad at. And honestly, you can't really be mad at Activision either. If you're as a gamer myself that enjoys the game, I'm upset at Activision. I don't like that they do that. But again, they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're a business. What's the goal of a business? To make money. What are they doing? Making money. I mean, that's just how the world works. It sucks. It really sucks, but that's just how life goes. And yeah, so Treyarch has nothing to do with this. So don't be sending death threats to David Vonderhaar, people at Treyarch, because they don't deserve it. It really sucks because they didn't want this in their game. They didn't want this to happen, and it's happening. For those of you that didn't realize, all these weapons that are coming within the supply drops were supposed to go to the people that bought the DLC, that bought the season pass. If you guys remember the Peacekeeper Black on Black Ops 2, that went to the people that bought the season pass or the DLC. And that's what Treyarch was going to do again with this game. You know, we were all going to get those weapons until Grandfather Activision stepped in and said, no, they're not paying enough to get all this stuff. They can get the DLC, they can pay for a season pass, but they're going to pay more if they want to try to get these weapons. And that's pretty much what it's come down to. And it really, really stinks. I absolutely hate it. But the moral of this video is not to get mad at Treyarch, get mad at Activision, because Treyarch had nothing to do with this. I love my boy David Vonderhaar over there. Obviously, they can't say anything like this, but I'm going to leave a link in the description below to the entire story where you can read everything about this and see where I'm coming from in this video. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see all you guys in the next